Beekeepers, I know why you're having winter losses. It's not what you think. It's February 14th, 2024. I've been beekeeping for almost 11 years. It'll be 11 years this spring. And the last 5 or 6 years, I've been doing indoor hive inspections. And I've come to the conclusion that it's the toxic chemicals causing my honeybees to die. I just cleaned out a couple hives today. And I've been dumping my bees out here through the winter. There's a massive pile of dead bees. When it warms up, it stinks, just like rotten meat. And how do I know for sure that it's the toxic chemicals and not the varroa mites? Well, last summer and fall, varroa mites became really bad because there's a lot of robbing. I have 2 commercial bee apiaries in my area, and plus all of my bees. There's probably 300 different colonies in the fall, and it gets really bad. The robbing is out of control. So I knew I had varroa mites, and I would do this acylic acid vaporizing with this Oxavap, and I would see a lot of dead varroa mites in the bottom of the hive. And I hit them really, really hard going into winter. And I'm not seeing any, the last couple treatments, I think it was December, I didn't see that many varroa mites in most of my colonies. I didn't see hardly any at all. And I haven't seen any during the winter. And I'm not saying they don't have them, okay? There probably are a few because this doesn't kill varroa mites in the cat brood. But what is causing my bees to die is the toxic chemicals they pick up throughout the year. It's in the honey, it's in the wax, it's in the pollen. It's already been proven, okay? And another thing that you beekeepers seem to think, putting in a pollen substitute is going to make your colony lay, and you don't want to do it too soon. Are you guys really that stupid? Don't you realize your bees bring in pollen the previous year during the fall? And there's pollen in your hive. I have colonies that have queens that have been laying nonstop since last spring, okay? And those are the ones that have grown. This one here, they ran out of honey. I knew they ran out of honey because all the bees were up here, and I was squirting some thick syrup up there, and because of so many bees and so much heat, it dried up, so I had to put in a feeder. And a few days ago, I opened this up and I checked it, and a lot of bees came out, and I used those bees along with some other colonies' bees to put in the small colonies. So this colony here has a queen that's been laying nonstop, and they have no honey. But I gave them serpentine. I just made a mess. I gave them serpentine to keep them going. And I did a couple inspections today. And I found this nice frame of honey from a smaller colony. It's not going to need it. They had plenty. So I'm going to put that in there today. And this colony over here, let me show you this one. This is the one that I was kind of worried about this morning. So I brought it in. And last time I was in here was January 27th, so it's been a little over 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And what I found was like 20 bees. And I've made sure they had honey a while ago. So they have honey. And no evidence that the queen has been laying at all through winter. Queen stopped laying last fall, and she is right there. See, she's smaller, she's not laying. And what am I going to do with this? Well, after I've done like 2, 3, 4 inspections, whatever, for over a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours, I will gather up all the bees on the floor, and I put them in a container, and I bring them in the house, warm them up, and then I'll put them in there on the inner cover. And it gives the bees time to gradually go down to that queen. They don't. I've never had a queen killed by doing that. If I were to put bees from one colony in there, yeah, of course, they would kill that queen. But I don't do it that way. I do like 2 or 3 different colonies, and the bees are kind of confused because they don't know their neighbor that's next to them. And that confusion causes them to not really be aggressive to this queen, and after overnight they accept that queen, and the colony is saved. So that's what I'm gonna do with that colony. Let me pause this. You guys have to understand the government and the corporations work together because the government wants to please the corporations. The corporation's goal is to make a lot of money. 2019, there's a field south of me, 150 yards south of me. A farmer was out there planting early in the morning. The wind was coming from that direction, blowing into my hives. And I'd gone away to do an electrical job, and I came back during lunch, and I noticed bees coming out of the hive dying. So I called that farmer's family and told them what had happened. They never came out to apologize. So then the following day, I called the state of Michigan, and that day they rushed out. You know, they made it sound like it was very urgent, so concerned about my honeybees. So they rushed out here, took samples, and a month later they told me, yes, my bees died from the chemicals that crop farmer used. But then another month went by, and they told me the farmer did nothing wrong, and it wasn't windy that day, and they made it sound like my bees went over to that field and got into those chemicals. That field was dirt. They were planting corn. There was no reason for my bees to go there. And the colonies that I lost were the ones that had their entrances facing that direction when the wind was blowing into the hive. And mostly the nurse bees, the bees that didn't go out foraging that day, were the ones that died, and the queens. Okay, so I probably lost $1,000 worth of bees that day. And the state of Michigan told me the farmer did nothing wrong. I was not compensated for that. The government is not on my side. You guys got to stop thinking the government's on your side. The government's on the side of corporations. And why do they want you to think it's the varroa mites killing your honeybees and it's not the toxic chemicals? You know, there's algorithms on YouTube. I notice you rarely ever see a video about bee losses and mentioning toxic chemicals. I have several videos on YouTube about the toxic chemicals that killed my bees that day. Your bees die in two different ways. If they get a heavy dose, of course they're going to die that day. But mostly what it is it's light doses throughout the year and stuff they bring into the hive. It's in the honey, the pollen, and the wax. You know, and I also want to mention, I've been outside several times during the summer, and I'll hear a tractor over in the area somewhere, and I'll smell something. And I'll go over there, and I'll drive over there and ask them, what the hell are you spraying? And they'll say, like, Roundup, you know? And I said, well, I can smell that. I'm inhaling that. They don't give a shit, okay? That's the reason why my wife had got breast cancer and she had a double mastectomy. She lived here 30 years. She does not smoke. She does not drink. And breast cancer does not run in her family. She has several sisters and all. None of them have breast cancer. No women in her family have breast cancer, okay? But she does because she lives around here, all right? So, and why do they want that to happen? Oh, the rich people make money. We go to the hospital, get your cancer treatment, chemotherapy, radiation, or whatever. They're making money off that. So that they know this GMO stuff, the plants can handle the chemicals. They designed these plants to absorb the chemicals. It doesn't hurt the plant. It's in our food. So if you eat enough of it during your lifetime, you're going to get cancer. And they're counting on it so they can make money because you'll do whatever you can to save your life and get your treatment. They're doing the same thing with dogs and cats too. You're fleeing treatments. You let your dog ingest a pill. Your dog will end up getting cancer someday. But anyway, so they're making a lot of money with those varroa mite treatments. You know, they make varroa mites sound so scary. They even show you a big picture. And Better Bee tells you all the things you have to do to get rid of your varroa mites. You add up the cost of all this stuff. They're making a lot of money. Would they make any money if they met the toxic chemicals that are killing your honeybees? No, your bee supply stores aren't going to make any money at all if it's toxic chemicals. They don't sell a product that gets rid of the toxic chemicals. That's why I get so irritated. You guys have your head up your ass. You seem to think, oh, you lose colonies during the winter. Oh, it's the varroa mites. Not necessarily, okay? I'm not saying don't treat your bees for varroa mites. I'm saying even if you treat your bees for varroa mites and they die and you think, oh, well, I didn't treat good enough or whatever, the treatment didn't work. Well, it's probably the toxic chemicals your bees picked up from the area. And not every beekeeper is surrounded by crop farmers like I am. So if you see somebody on YouTube like Vinyl Farms out somewhere in Vermont and he doesn't have a lot of crop farmers in these areas, his bees are doing just great. Don't assume that you can follow him and have the same results. It's not going to happen. Okay, let me pause. Oh, and for your information, I'm keeping track. I've done over 150 hive inspections this winter. I'm keeping track of my losses. And another thing, the commercial beekeepers will say CCD, colony collapse disorder, meaning they don't know why their bees died. See this list here I have? Ran out of honey, saved them in time. No queen, sick queen, or dead queen. Okay, colony too small means that they didn't have enough bees in there to continue. And then I found some with virgin queens, and the red means I lost that colony, and the green means I saved that colony. And I'm getting over here to, I had a couple killed by acrylic acid treatment. They were too small, they didn't realize that. And that they don't handle acrylic acid very well when they're small colony. See this right here? Dead, a question mark. It means if I found a colony that was they're all dead and I didn't know why they died, I don't have any of those, okay? So I don't have CCD. You commercial beekeepers are just too damn irresponsible to really want to know what's killing your bees. You make too much money serving the corporations out there in California, pollinating the almonds. If you guys stop pollinating the almonds, do a strike, don't do any pollinating for commercial farms, corporate farms, we could probably get rid of these chemicals. The government would be forced to get rid of the chemicals. And the other thing is, you guys keep transporting your bees across state lines, transporting your varroa mites, okay? I work my ass off to get rid of my varroa mites, and you guys bring your bees back to the summertime, and my bees will pick up varroa mites from your bees, all right? I'm getting sick of that. So, and this right here is the ones that had honey and failed to move to the honey. Sometimes you have a cluster of bees in there and they'll stay on the brood and they won't go to the honey. Okay. So anyway, look at the number of queens that I've lost. Why would I lose so many queens? They're dying from the toxic chemicals. Okay. Like I just said, I have several colonies here. The queen's been laying continuously. The varroa mites were an issue. Wouldn't the varroa mites get out of control during winter? No, I got varroa mites under control during the fall. Okay, the colonies that are dying are from queens that didn't lay. Your bees only live 3 to 4 months because of toxic chemicals instead of 5 to 6. Okay, and you guys that aren't checking your colonies every day, like I am, and you don't look at them for a month or two, and you see a bunch of dead bees in the bottom of your hive. Did they all die at once or did they die gradually over a period of time? You don't know, okay? Because that's why I'm doing research all winter long. And what I'm finding is the colonies that have laying queens are replacing the bees that died from the toxic chemicals, okay? Let me pause again. And it's not such a big deal to do a hive inspection inside. I don't know why you guys are so afraid to do it. I rarely get stung. See, the bees are dying. But they're being replaced. And the only trouble with this, they will eat their honey right away. So you got to keep an eye on them. But the advantage of having colonies like this, I'm able to use the excess bees in small colonies that don't have a laying queen. I get a kick out of these beekeepers that have videos on YouTube and they're all suited up with a veil and gloves. Like, oh my God, they're so afraid of bees. I don't see the queen right away. I'm not wearing my glasses right now. Let me pause and I'll see if I still have a queen. She could be underneath the inner cover, and you see I've got that syrup there, so it may be hard to find her. All right, I found her. She was underneath some workers and nurse bees. So there she is. And I think it's evidence that she'd been laying, but when they ran out of honey, she slowed down. See, there's some caps there and some. But when I see a hive that's full of bees and no honey, that tells me that the queen never stopped laying. So let me close this up. I only try to open one hive at a time. I don't want to end up putting the wrong frame in. I'm gonna show you this one here. Okay, first thing I do when I do a hive inspection, I clean out the dead bees, and I put them next to this window on this door. So if there are any live bees, I clean out every single bee too, because if there's something in that hive spreading from one dead bee to another to live bees, I want to stop it. And I will scrape this off too. Let me pause this. Okay, now if I wanted to know if there were varroa mites in this colony, all I had to do was look at the bottom board, but I'm not concerned about this colony. And I try to do as many inspections as I can. My record is 19 in one day inside here. I try not to spend too much time per colony because you want to get in and out, and then you want to get these bees picked up within an hour or two. They're chilled. If you get them picked up right away and warm them up, you can use them somewhere else. But if you just let them set too long, I don't know how much time. It depends on the temperature of the floor, the temperature outside. This is a deck. So let me, yeah, I've been in here recently. There's honey in the center. And what I'm saying is, if it's really, really cold out and the bees are warming up, you know, these hives here have bees in them and they warm up the thermostat, the heat never comes on and the floor gets cold. And when the bees get on that floor, they stop moving around, they get chilled. That's why you want to pick them up as soon as possible. And it's the same thing where you find a colony that's chilled, not moving, you put a hairdryer on them as soon as you can. I've never, second day I think, or third day, anything that I've found that I didn't check the previous day, I was not able to revive. But if I check them every day and I find a colony that's chilled, and I know yesterday, the day before, they were moving around, they were all right. If I check them in the morning, I'm able to save them. See, here's another queen that's laying. And you see, I just put in the pollen substitute 5 days ago, and there's cat brood in here. So this queen started laying on her own recently. Let me pause. I'll find that queen. Yeah, the lighting in here is not very good. It's cloudy, typical Michigan weather. And if she's covered up with workers, there she is. Having paint is not going to help if she's covered. I don't paint my queens. But anyway, it's a good laying queen. And sometimes I will have all the frames out that don't have bees on it. And the sugar on the inner cover, I have to take that off and flip the cover over and look and see, because sometimes I find queens there. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes to find that queen. And basically, it'll take me 10 minutes to get these bees cleaned up. These bees on the floor are going to be gathered up, put into that colony there. This colony here, if it were small, I would be concerned about the bees that came out. I would put them back in this hive for this colony, but I'm not worried about that because they can lose a few. And that's why sometimes it's nice to have laying queens, as long as you can keep track of how much honey they have. And the other thing is, a lot of my homemade hives are heavier than others. So I have a density of the wood that kind of tricks me. That's why I've lost a few this winter, because I thought, well, they're heavy, I don't need to worry about them, and then find out a week or two later that they were out of honey. Okay? So again, my conclusion is the toxic chemicals, because the colonies that have laying queens, they're replacing the dead bees. I'm finding dead bees in the bottom just like normal, but the queen continues to lay, and she's replacing the bees. That's why during the summer you don't notice the toxic chemicals as much unless you get a heavy dose. And the commercial beekeepers, they take their colonies south, and they keep that queen laying all winter long, so they don't notice it that much, okay? It's not really the varroa mites. Yeah, if you don't treat for varroa mites, get rid of them, they will get out of control, but that's not the main issue. The main issue is the toxic chemicals. And you think it would be easy to stop using the toxic chemicals, but no. Our government's controlled by the corporations, and they're making money selling these chemicals. They're making money treating your cancer when these chemicals cause cancer. And it's just a big money-making scheme the rich people use to get rich, okay? And you guys don't seem to pick up on it. And you guys seem to think you can elect somebody that's going to help solve our problems. Everybody that's on a TV show, the presidential debates, they're all puppets of the corporations, the deep state, the CIA basically controls this country, okay? Thank you.